Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday Mortgage Coach coaching call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific, I am here to connect as a community of like-minded mortgage professionals. We're working very hard to deliver the best sales experience for both home buyers and realtors. So my name is Dave Savage, CEO of Mortgage Coach. If you are new to the Mortgage Coach community and this is your very first coaching call, you'll find out very quickly that we are just committed to reinventing the mortgage experience in an amazing way, to wowing borrowers. And all of these calls are recorded. You want to make sure that you're connecting with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you have not already subscribed to our YouTube page, make sure that you subscribe to it. This call, along with all of our calls, will be uploaded into that. Not to mention new ideas, new features that come into our products are added, and you will get an alert. So make sure you connect to that. So I had given everybody this homework assignment last week. I'm not sure how many people followed through with watching the It Starts With Why, but it's going to align and be very important as Tim Braheem helps grow everybody's business why. Why are you a loan officer? And why are you a mortgage coach? And how do those things align, or how don't they align in your current actions? If you haven't watched this, make sure that you do. It's critical to the teaching that we're providing today. When I reflect on my why, and I reflect on the mortgage coach why, we've always just had this really clear belief that great service and mortgage advice is the ultimate competitive advantage. A lot of different lenders, a lot of different loan officers, they differentiate themselves differently. But this has always been a core that I have. And when I founded Mortgage Coach, what is it, 16 going on 17 years now, I always just had this passion for blowing people's minds, for wowing people. When I had my breakthrough in the career, it was when I went from, some people I would do a good job, some people I would do a great job, some people I would do an okay job. But when I figured out that winning in this business is just as simple as surpassing people's expectations and doing that in a really consistent way, business changed for me, and it became my why. Is the best way to do that is advice, delivering wow advice. That is the mortgage coach why. That is my. And when we think about how we do that, I could put a lot of words behind it, but it really comes down to a higher level of transparency in showing people the cost over time. Again, we could describe this in a whole lot more detail, but when you really net out a mortgage coach loan officer versus everybody else, is they're just plain old delivering mortgage comparisons, transparency, and cost over time. And we're doing that on mobile. We're doing that for borrowers wherever they're at. We're doing that for realtors anywhere and everywhere that they're at. And so it's really an honor to have Tim Braheem and Ken Perry as my guest on today's call. Ken is going to get a little more tactical around the perfect loan process. He's going to talk about how to communicate in today's age, how to connect with both buyers, realtors, and even your team so that you can really execute on a perfect loan process. But first, we're going to kick it off with Tim Braheem. And I know what led to this conversation is I was having breakfast with Tim recently, and I said, hey, Tim, I could really use some help in growing the mortgage coach members why, getting everybody intentional around that. And what do you do? I mean, I know you do a lot of trainings, you do a lot of deep immersion programs with your Leadership 360 program. How do you do this, and what is your philosophy? So, Tim, I'm going to give you the mic. I've got a few slides that I'll try to roll over as you're talking, and why don't you kind of share some thoughts and hopefully grow everybody's why?
Thank you, Dave, and good morning, everybody, and just really appreciate having the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes. Yeah, actually, those of you that have not watched the TED Talk with Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, let's just first establish that it would be really great for you to go watch that. And in addition to that, I would highly recommend that you take that and forward it to, your realtor partners, your CPA partners, and use that as a really great foundational discussion over lunch or coffee, because I think it really will resonate with them as well. It's a really intelligent talk that Sinek has put together. And, in our Leadership 360 program, which is, a one-year coaching program where we start off on our business and life planning retreat in Costa Rica, we on the very first night of retreat, we watch that video together, and then there are processes that we've created to help people get really, really clear on what their why is. Because if you have watched it, as you will see, what Sinek talks about is that the more clear and crystallized you are on what your why is, the more you will then automatically put that energy out there into the world and attract people that resonate with you. And doing business will become infinitely easier. And the two primary examples that he uses, which are somewhat radically different but similar in their result, is Apple Computer and Martin Luther King. And when you watch the video, I mean, as Dave and I were talking about a little earlier, it's quite interesting. I mean, Apple Computer, it's a computer company, but when you watch their commercials, when you watch their branding and their messaging, it's never been about being a computer company. It's never been even about being an MP3 company, when their hottest product at the beginning was, the iPod. It was always about ease of usage, creativity, expressiveness, and kind of the cool factor. And if you even look at like all of their branding and messaging and commercials, it's always been about that. And when you look at Martin Luther King, I mean, that's really an astonishing example that he uses, Dave, where, when you really think about it, it's like 250,000 people show up at the mall in Washington, D.C. without the internet, without really any meaningful, they only marketed that, quote unquote, for 11 days. So, from the time that he decided to go there to the time that he showed up was an 11-day period. 250,000 people show up without email, without text messaging, without anything, word of mouth, okay? And as Sinek points out, fully 25% of the people that were there were white. So it wasn't that they were showing up for Martin Luther King. It was that they were showing up for themselves, because their why as human beings, those 250,000 people, resonated so deeply with what Martin Luther King's why was. And I started thinking about this after you and I had breakfast, from the concept of, okay, well, what was my why as a loan originator, and did that tie into the mortgage coach? And the answer is resoundingly yes. I mean, those of you who've known me for a while know that I've been like was a power user of Mortgage Coach basically when it was in beta, and used it religiously for my entire career. And I now realize why I did, because my why was very simply, Dave, to be I'd share with my clients, if my job is really being done correctly, it's my job to assist you in managing the largest indebtedness that you'll ever take on in your life. And, most people that do what I do for a living just provide the debt. They walk away. They don't really take into consideration what your true needs are, and most importantly, how long you're going to need to borrow this money for, which is the really important question to ask every one of your customers, and that I asked every one of my customers. And we went into a detailed assessment of, like, what are the factors that cause someone to borrow money for a short period of time versus a long period of time, and what's the probability that this money you're borrowing right now. And I'll give you an example. Like, if you have a client right now who's, a newly married couple, and maybe they're thinking of having a child, or they have one that's an infant, and they're buying their first house, and it's a condo or a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house, a 30-year fix really isn't the right program for them. The chances of them being in that loan for an extended period of time are very, very low. Very low. I mean, especially if their intentions are to have a couple more kids, or just even when those kids get older and everybody wants to have their own bedroom. I mean, you look at the statistics. The average person is not in a loan for more than around 4 years statistically, with refis, with move ups, with and new construction's getting ready to kick off now, and you're going to start to see over the next several years a lot more new homes being built, and that'll just generate a whole bunch of move-up buyers and things of that nature. And so back to the why. Like, I was always very clear that really my job, really truly my job, was to manage their debt, no differently than they had a financial advisor who managed their assets. And a part of that is to educate and to ask the right questions at point of sale, and to really understand what the probability is of them being in this loan for a long time or for a short period of time. And then to break that down in the educational process by showing them 3 or 4 different loan scenarios using the total cost analysis from Mortgage Coach, or using a rent versus buy analysis if this is somebody who's renting and needs to see and understand what the true apples to apples comparison is after tax write-off, and really showing them these numbers in a way that are digestible, comfortable, and educational in a way that where they can make an informed choice. And that was my entire presentation was built around it, because I so passionately believe that that is my job at the end of the day, and that's what I'm good at. And that then parlayed into my discussions with CPAs and realtors, and I would show them that, you know, when you introduce somebody to me, this is the process that I'm going to take that mutual client of ours through to make sure that they're well educated, and then they can make an intelligent decision. And again, this is my why. My why is to make sure that you always have the best loan program when you're working with me. My why is to make sure that when your first loan closes with me, that's when my job really just begins, because it's my job to continually look for other loan scenarios that are more advantageous and more financially beneficial to you down the road. And I was telling Dave earlier, one of the things that I think is that a lot of loan originators don't realize how many refis there really are out there right now. I think there are a lot more than most loan originators realize. I mean, you have people in your database right now who are in 30-year fixed-rate mortgages that if you picked up the phone and called them and did an annual mortgage planning review, like you should be doing if you are truly a debt manager, you know, no differently than a financial advisor should get together and do a portfolio review with his client at least once a year. If you're picking up the phone as a debt manager, touching base, asking them some open-ended questions about where they're at in their life, I guarantee you, you will find, and many of my Leadership 360 clients that I coach, you know, I put them through this process, and they're picking up deals. You know, it's not like every phone call generates a deal, but every 5th, 6th, 7th phone call, they find out, oh, wow, they've had a life-changing event. You know, kids are moving out of the house, or they're having a new baby, or they want to buy a second home, or they're going to add on to their house. And all of these things result in that person wanting to, or potentially needing another you know, loan program that is more advantageous to them. That's debt management. So the affect of that, and this is where it goes to the, you know, the Martin Luther King 250,000 people on the mall in Washington, D.C. thing, is he just had a clear message. I have a dream that all people will be treated equal. 250,000 people that also believe that show up. You didn't have to do all kinds of mass marketing. It's just that the clearer the why, the more people that resonate with that why will be attracted to it. So a lot of times people look, you know, especially my clients who really get to know me on a personal basis, they start asking me a lot of questions about how many realtors did you have when you did, you know, 60 loans a month? And they start to add it up, and they realize, well, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I mean, you didn't have that many realtors. You had one CPA, you had one financial advisor giving you business. That adds up to like 13 deals a month. Like, where did the other 30 come from every month? And the answer is it came from everywhere. It came from all those people that I did loans for, because not only did I state my why to them, which is my job is to assist you in managing the largest indebtedness you'll ever take on in your life, and to do that on an ongoing basis going forward. Not only did I state that clearly, I showed it very clearly through the way that I presented the numbers to them using the Mortgage Coach at point of sale, and educated them and talked to them about the decisions that they were faced with, and helped them make the right choice. Not paying points, taking a 7-1 instead of a 30-year, and saving 0.5% in the rate, because they're likely to not be in the loan for more than 7 years. But then from there, when there were opportunities, I would always be proactive in informing of that. So I expressed my why, I lived my why, and what I subsequently did was attracted a huge groundswell of people that weren't necessarily realtors, but were just people who knew other people. And that's where I got most of my business, was just tons of referrals. hey, you got to work with my loan guy. I mean, he's a debt manager. He's different than everybody else. He's going to present the numbers to you in writing. He's going to show you how to do a no points, no fees refinance. He's going to call you when there's an opportunity to swap out the debt. He's refied me 3 times in the last 4 years and saved me several $100s a month. I didn't need to do a whole lot else other than just live my why and express it and embody it. And the rest took care of itself. And I think that that's really the message that I want to send to all of you that are listening, is to get really clear on what value you bring and how the mortgage coach can be such a linchpin. And I mean, without it, I wouldn't have been able to live that why, quite frankly, because I wouldn't have been able to present the numbers in an intelligent and educational way. And the more that I taught, the more that I built trust, the more that I built a deeper connection, and the more that people wanted to refer business to me. So, Dave, I'll toss it back to you. I know I said a lot, and hopefully I was able to help some people in my answer there.
Well, as I have had my journey to, 1, found mortgage coach, 2, watch people like you become masters, I find, 2 things when you look at the evolution of a loan officer and you look at where they become successful. I mean, first of all, every great loan officer I've ever met has a certain level of likability, so they have a likability quotation, and they have a value quotation. They deliver value. Now, how they deliver value and who they're likable to, hey, we're people. Every person has their own fingerprint and has their own unique way of being likable and their own unique way of delivering value. But when I look at mortgage coach members and everybody who's on this call, you invest money, or the company you work for invests money, and the fact that you're on this call, you're investing your most valuable resource, which is your time and your attention. When I look at the folks that get the most ROI, they have the deepest why. They're not using mortgage coach because of something I said, something I taught them, or even something you said or taught them. They're doing it because they have a why that aligns. So again, folks, I know I've been talking about this on a number of coaching calls, but it's that important. It starts with why, and then it also, you got to have an accountability partner. You can have an amazing why, but if you don't have, 1, the self-discipline, or 2, an accountability partner to help you, execute on your why, you're not going to achieve what you really need to do to be, to maximize your success. So, guys, checklist. First,
Dave,
make sure you watch this video. Well, let me just wrap this, and I'll throw it back to you, Tim. Cool. Make sure you watch this, and I love Tim's idea about sharing this with your partners and helping your partners develop their own why. Make sure you really understand this Apple example. Tim gave us a great document to help us do that. Make sure you really, I want to see your why, your who, and your what. So Tim, I'll pass it back to you, and then I know you've got to get into a coaching session, so I'll let you wrap it up whenever you need to go.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so just a couple of quick things, like as it relates to realtors. So I want you to all think of it this way. Okay, I'll try to break it down in the most simplistic of terms. So if you take, I'm getting audio feedback in my earpiece here. Let me kind of distract me. Not sure if you guys can do anything on the technical end there, but I'm getting a ton of audio feedback into my earpiece, but I'll keep rolling through it.
Hey, Tim, I think I got it for you.
Your why, and you get super clear on it. Thank you. That's better. If you get super clear on your why, and like I said, mine was to manage people's debt. Okay, that's as simple as I can put it. Then from there, you take that premise, and you watch the Simon Sinek video, and you'll see how this plays out. And you go and you meet with your referral partners, or any referral partner that you're pursuing, and you make as a part of your presentation to them that your job is to help people manage their debt, to be a financial advisor that specializes in mortgages, to make sure that they understand the benefits of buying home, the after-tax benefits, etc. And you walk that real estate agent or that CPA or whoever through your process and show them that this is what I do for each and every client that you refer to me, and why it's of benefit to that person, and why it's going to make you look good, and it's going to make me look good because it's going to be most serving to the client. You're either going to have real estate agents that are going to see the benefit, or you're not. But the agents that see the benefit, and there will be plenty of them that will, are the ones that showed up at the mall in Washington, D.C. to see Martin Luther King speak. So you're going to naturally attract who you are, the more clear you are on who you are, and the more that you synthesize it. And that will become the foundation for what are long-term strong relationships. I mean, the agents that I did work with, which were, 5 or 6 different agents, and they were all very good, they knew my value. I didn't have to worry about losing them to anybody else because they understood and bought into the value that I was bringing to the equation. And I think that that's really an important piece for all of you to understand, is to take your presentation with the mortgage coach and sit down with your agent and say, I'd like to walk you through exactly what I do and present to every lead that you bring my way, and why I think it's of value, and why I think it helps us do more transactions together. Because the more that I educate and explain things clearly, the more people lose the fear that they have of moving forward. And anybody that's on the fence, we have a much better chance of getting them to move forward with writing an offer and buying a home when I present the numbers this way. In closing, what I would just offer to anybody is that, just on a total shifting of gears here, we are in the process of interviewing loan originators who are applying to be a part of the next Leadership 360 program, which starts this fall. It's a 1-year program, starts with a 1-week business and life planning retreat down in Costa Rica. We take 8 loan officers, and we stay together for a whole year. So you build the plan for a full week off the grid. The next 12 months is about really supporting you on implementing that plan with private coaching, with group masterminding calls, and with 2 live 2-day retreats here in Los Angeles at my home. So anybody that's interested or that resonates with, all you have to do is just email me. I'll make it real simple. Just email me at tbraheem, B-R-A-H-E-E-M, @gmail.com. I will then introduce you to Julie Wykes, who's one of our coaches. She will send you the application and some information on the program, a lot of FAQs, etc. If it resonates, you can fill out the application, then you'll set up a one-on-one private call with me for an hour, and I'll interview you for possibly being a part of the next group. Want to throw it back to Dave and or anybody else who's taken over and say, goodbye to all of you, and thank you for joining this morning. And I'm going to rush off and coach a client. I hope everybody has a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of your call. Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, thanks, Tim. Really appreciate it. Hopefully my feedback has reduced. I don't know what happened from a technical perspective, but great job, Tim. And Kim Perry, get ready. You are up to bat, my friend. Are you about ready?
I am.
All right. So, Ken, I want to make a big announcement before I bring you in. I am going to be handing it off to Anthony on our team, our lead success coach and now national account director for Mortgage Coach. So he's going to help close this out because I am at the Optimal Blue Conference here in Colorado Springs. Some of you on this call use Optimal Blue as your pricing engine, and part of the announcement that was made here at the event, actually just hours ago, is that there's a pretty unprecedented integration between Optimal Blue and Mortgage Coach. We have not formally announced this to the marketplace. There will be press releases going out soon, and we will be sending out announcements probably as soon as tomorrow. But because you guys come to our coaching calls, I always want to, every opportunity, make you the first to hear, first to see the new things. This was a picture last night during the dinner here, Colorado Springs, so you can see there's just a lot of great leaders, everything from the C-suite to head of secondary. This was actually an hour ago before I came here. I took a quick picture as they were announcing our integration to everybody here at this event. So it's pretty cool. What I wanted to do is I want to show you a quick video. It's a minute or less. Don't know if the sound's going to come through, but it will help you see how this integration works. And then I will tell you where to email if you want to find out if your company can have access to this. So hold on. Check this video out. Pick your program, and boom, Making a mortgage coach report has never been easier. Driving a live presentation has never been easier. So as you can see, it's never been easier to deliver wow advice to borrowers and realtors. If you are an Optimal Blue user, you can email optimalblue@mortgagecoach.com and get on the list as we roll this out to the market. Also, let your CEO, let your leadership team know that you want to have access to this integration, and we will be lighting this up kind of on a first-come, first-served basis for the Optimal Blue platforms that want to have access to this integration. Ken Perry, what do you think, my man?
I think it's awesome, man. I'm excited. That's good stuff. I got to see that in Vegas when we were out there last week or 2 weeks ago, and it was just it's stellar. It's just so easy now. I mean, it was already easy, but now it's just easier.
Right on. Well, again, and if you don't have the integration, it still only takes, if you're using templates appropriately, you can create an FHA versus conventional within a minute or two. If you don't have a strategy template created and you're using templates, it can take 3 minutes. And if you put the whole thing in from scratch, it's 5 minutes. So it doesn't take that much time to deliver wow service, wow advice. So Ken, you've got a deep Mortgage Coach why. I don't think we need to re-go through that. I just wanted to kick off the call as you share how you think loan officers should be communicating and helping people take action. So let's assume at this point everybody has a great Mortgage Coach why, but they need to train themselves to take action better. They need to train their teammates how to take action. And as a guy who's done compliance training for as long as you have and who's built an amazing system to drive the entire compliance training module, bring that to a perfect loan process. Share your thoughts. I'm going to give you the screen so you can share your desktop, and make sure you tell us about how everybody could also be using the Coop to drive a compliant sales process.
Right on.
And then I'm also going to hand it off to Anthony to drive the rest of the calls. I'm going to go be on a panel here at the Optimal Blue Conference.
Right on. All right, let me know, Anthony, if you can see me okay.
We can see it.
Perfect. Well, let's walk through a couple things. So, Dave, thanks for having me. We've just had a blast this year with rolling our system into the industry, watching people use it, and really watching people stop saying the same things over and over and be able to say it just once and have it communicated to many. I started this company back in 2003 to do training. At the time, there was really not a lot of training companies out there. Still, we don't have a lot of trainers within companies, and we're missing some opportunities. So I want to walk through where we are in 2014 and just talk through the way that we communicate personally and then how that converts into the office and give you some challenges here. So if you look at the way that we work at home, and most of you are using YouTube and Google. In fact, I've got numbers on it. I know you're all using that. So at home, loan officers, underwriters, everybody in the company is typically used to watching a bunch of cat videos, other videos. They're Googling things when they want to search. They're using mobile. They're using Twitter, Flickr, Facebook. These are where we live. And then they're using Wikipedia, which people make fun of for information. Actually, it's darn accurate. There's a TED Talk from the founder of Wikipedia. It's pretty amazing if you guys get a chance. They're using LinkedIn, Google+, Yelp, Skype, TED. All of these, that's how we live when we're not at work. I watch TEDs like crazy. I love the power of video. I love getting information from people who I never would have been able to make it to one of their seminars. Here I am watching, for free, I'm watching a 5-minute video, of just totally changing my world, including the one you guys went over today. But this is where we live. Like, I just hang out on these sites. Like that's where I live when I'm at home. On my phone, I mean, I'm all over this stuff, right? If you jump on Siri and ask her to do something for you, she's going to go ahead and find whatever you need her to find. Yelp has created a place where now we feel like we have a voice. You know, outside of our company, we feel like anytime we want, we can tell anybody in the world about a great restaurant or a bad restaurant, a great hotel or a bad hotel. It's changed the way that we communicate. And I'll tell you, these millennials that are coming up in the industry, those kids that are walking into this business are amazing at communication. They keep in touch with their world. I didn't even add Instagram to this, and I really should have because I'm all over Instagram now. My son is 13. He doesn't have a Facebook page. He also doesn't have an email address. That should tell you something. When your 13-year-old doesn't have an email address and you do, it tells you that you're already a step behind. So kind of a fascinating world that we're living in now. If you look at the way that we communicate at work, we now have these big company intranets sometimes. And so you've got this intranet that everybody's forced to go on their computer. Some people are forced to jump into Citrix and go and try to find something that may or may not exist and probably was updated 3 years ago. A company intranet is a place where information goes to die, just like email. A lot of folks on their intranet, they've dumped a ton of money into creating a system, but there's no way to find out if it actually worked. And then it's also being used for stuff that is just kind of boring. You know, when I want to go get my 401k document, that's when I'm going to use the internet. But then how are we actually training through the internet? Most people are not. They're watching really long, boring modules. We also do a bunch of conference calls, which drive everybody crazy. If you guys have not seen on YouTube the conference call in real life, you have to see that because it's exactly how it goes. The companies have meetings by conference call, and typically they could have knocked out everything offline and saved that time had they done it in some sort of collaborative environment. But again, we're not doing that at work. We've got the internet, we've got conference calls, and then we're emailing, which I just think is amazing that we're still using email at the level that we are. So you take somebody who's not emailing except for when they're at work, and that just creates a really bad environment where they're not super happy because that's just clunky. Email, again, like the internet, is a place where great information goes to die. Email creates silos where you and I can communicate and nobody else in the company can benefit from that communication. And so no wonder we're kind of messed up. No wonder we have 3 people in the company that are originating at a really high level and nobody in the company is learning from those 3 people because we're not using this social aspect to be able to take your top performers and bleed some of that down into the lower performers to bring them up to a higher level. In management at mortgage companies, oftentimes management is also being done by email. Questions are being asked by email. We're not actually leading. In fact, we're just waiting until a problem occurs, and then we go in and try to solve that problem instead of just making it so that that problem never occurred in the first place by training out. I just had a really interesting conversation with a marketing compliance person at a huge company, and we were talking about marketing compliance, and she said, you know, we have to shoot back all of our marketing because the LOs just submit these marketing pieces that are so illegal and it's so obvious, and we have to fight all the time, and we go after them. And I said, well, how much training did you do on what you're looking for? How many videos have you shot on what you experience and how that could be better? How many times have you told the loan officers what success looks like? And she's like, oh yeah, we don't do that. And so they're basically spending all their time and energy playing defense, you know, fighting back. And what that does is make the loan officers see that compliance team as a group that does not want them to complete any business. And I've heard that from a lot of loan officers where they're like, compliance, man, I don't even want to talk to them because every time I talk to them, they kill a deal. And that's only because of that communication. We're not going out and creating a social environment where the compliance people are seen as members of the team. We're setting that compliance side out on the side. And the same thing with sales managers. You know, you have a great sales call, and I know you guys, everybody on this call has had a great sales call. And you walk out of that great sales call and you're buzzing. And, you know, the most you're going to do because of the systems we're using is you might email somebody and go, dude, I just had the greatest sales call. Let me tell you about it. Whereas it would be way better for that to be stored forever, where you can just go in and say, shoot a quick video on your iPhone. Hey, everybody, check this out. I had a great sales call. I want to tell you about it. And now that becomes forever there. My Coop engagement director at my office, he's our highest technology guy, and he said he doesn't have a Facebook page. And he said, I don't, because Facebook is forever. And that's true. That's the up and down. So Facebook is forever. The information that you can put out there, you have the ability to throw something out there that can be used for training forever. when we were down in Vegas, I don't even remember if it was a week or two ago, but we were down in Vegas and they said the average age of a loan officer is 52 years old, which means that we have some people over the next 10 years that are going to start ushering out and into a beautiful retirement. When those people leave, we basically take their email address, we kill it, we probably go through it to make sure there's nothing in there we need to address, and then their information and their wisdom that they brought to the team and had in them is dead forever. How many great loan officers are we totally without right now? They're gone and we don't have their information, and it's because of the way that we communicate. So over the next few years, you're going to see a real conversion into new systems that allow us to communicate. The fact that we're accepting emails from borrowers blows me away. An email from a borrower has typically come from their big stud at yahoo.com, and it's totally insecure. Whereas if that information was uploaded direct, then you would just have it in your system and it saves you all that time. Think about the amount of times you said, well, didn't you get my email? It doesn't work. It's getting clogged up. So that's how we're working right now. The other thing that we've pulled from studies is that people want short videos. I'm always really sad when I see people go, yeah, we do training. And I go, really, who did it for you? And they go, oh, we had this company sell us all these 3-hour modules and we make people go through them until they hate us. That's crazy. YouTube has 1 billion users. There's 6 billion videos watched every single month. 14.4% of Americans use it at work. And look at the generation. 70% of millennials visit YouTube monthly. 58% of the Gen Xers and 49% of the boomers are on YouTube every single month. People are driven to YouTube, and I don't know if you guys have opened a YouTube video lately, but when you open it, you always look and see how long is this YouTube video going to be. If the YouTube video is going to be 8 minutes, you typically shut it down because who has 8 minutes, right? And that's how we work, and that's how we work as people, right? We don't want to sit for longer than 8 minutes. So why is it that in a company, we put people in front of 3-hour modules and expect them to really enjoy themselves? It's just not happening. So YouTube is being, of course, used like crazy. If you look at the other places, like, look in the Knowledge Coop, that's what we created. In the Knowledge Coop, we've got where you're dropping videos in just super fast by clicking add a video. And so we created that system where instead of making people go through painful trainings, you're just uploading them straight off of your phone, your computer, whatever, and they're watching a video super easy. People also want the power of search. 11.944 billion searches are happening, and that's each month. So I don't know if anybody on this call is still the type that goes into their browser and actually types in www. First off, you don't have to do that, right? And then the second thing is they type in google.com, and then they pull up Google, and then they do their search. Please stop doing that. All you have to do is just type your search in the bar. That actually became a search bar a few years back. Everybody's searching. Nobody's actually going to websites anymore. They always go through search. They run through search. They find what they're looking for. They click it. And so we've got an environment where in the industry, outside of our job, we search. Inside of our job, remember, we use painful intranets. It's not very fun. Check this out. This is from a study that came out in July 2012. It says today a huge amount of relevant enterprise knowledge is locked up in email inboxes. As more enterprise information becomes accessible and searchable rather than locked up as dark matter in inboxes, workers could save not only the amount of time they spend on writing, reading, and answering email, but also on the amount of time spent searching for content and expertise. And get this is why I wanted to show you this. We estimate that total email use by interaction workers could be reduced by 25%, freeing up 7 to 8% of the work week for more productive activities. With internal knowledge and information more available on social media, a typical knowledge worker could reduce information searching time by as much as 35%, which would return approximately 6% of the work week to other tasks. So if we find a better way to search, we get more productive. And I'm sure everybody on this call has tried to search through their email inbox going, I know that it's in here somewhere. And that's just not a very successful way to do it. If you guys send out your scenarios, and I'm not sure how you guys are doing scenarios at your office right now, but if you're sending out your scenarios, your questions, hey, can we do this on FHA? Can we do this on VA? Can we do this on the USDA? You're searching for information to find out whether or not you can do a loan. That will make you more successful. If you wait a long time, or if you get information one-to-one where the email goes back to you, the rest of the company missed out on that knowledge. So you really don't have a community at that point. You've got a one-on-one interaction, which then you're just waiting way too long to get the answers back. Again, and I'm not going to get real promotional on this call, but again, when we created the Knowledge Coop, we created it so that if you typed in FHA or whatever, every single piece of information in your system would pop up. So instead of just searching for a bunch of stuff, you type one word and it's going to bring you all your information. We did this because of the way people are currently gathering information, using Google, using Bing, using all the search engines. It should just function like that at your office. And if it's not, then we've got to make a big change. And again, over the next few years, you're going to see that big change. So you guys are spending, and this is a global report that was just done. Knowledge workers spend 28 hours each week writing emails, searching for information, and collaborating internally. So again, we're spending all this time, and really I should say wasting all this time looking for information. Keep in mind the new group that's walking into this industry, the new folks that are the millennials, are rolling in and saying, you know, how do I access information? Because at home, I Google, I YouTube, I search, and when they walk into our company and say, how do I access information? We go, oh, what do you mean? Should we have some information out there? It's just not successful. To break this down on a level of automating the perfect loan process, think about your top producing loan officers. Think about the things they have to share with people on their team. Think about the amount of sales training that they could deliver if they had a system that they could do that in. And then think of the production level of the folks who are, you know, just brand new in the industry, picking up that information. I'll never forget, I sat down with a loan officer one time, he just kills it. And he showed me in his system that he was using, he showed me my name in his system. He just typed in my name. And it pulled up where he had met me, who I had referred him. I had referred him a couple of deals. Who I had referred him, who they had referred, who the realtor was on those transactions. He can click on anything and he can show me everything. And he said, when I sit down with real estate agents, what I like to do is show them how I take care of the client and show them how I run my database. And he had shown me the most robust database I'd ever seen. And I was just blown away by it. And I said, so who else is using this system? And he goes, well, we're going to start training on this. I'm like, how? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, how will you deliver that? And he's like, well, I don't know. And it just blows me away that you've got those tools and those success points, and we're not sharing those out. Take a hardcore Edge user. If you're using Edge and you're very successful using Edge, which a lot of folks are amazingly successful using the Edge process, if you're doing that, you know, grabbing that information and saying what makes you successful in Edge, then using that to train out to everybody else. You got to make sure everybody is brought along with your top producers. A lot of people say, you know, most of the top producers I speak with are open to sharing their information with their team. They want everybody to be better. Those who are thinking, well, why would I share everything? I'm kind of in competition here. I got to tell you, the reason a lot of loan officers aren't sharing their information because they're getting nothing back. So why would I send out all my great tips unless it's in exchange for something, right? A bit of a social contract with my company. And that's really where we're missing with email and with the type of communication we use right now, is we're not giving them an environment where there's an exchange, right? Facebook is an exchange. I don't know if you know this, but when I go on there and I post, like, in fact, when we get off this call, I will be jumping on Facebook and uploading a picture of my garage door. It just broke. I mean, it's a great house. The garage door just broke. The spring snapped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk out my garage. I'm going to take a picture of my garage door, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. And it's going to say, hey, check this out. Anybody know what I should do here? And I'm going to get a lot of information back. And the reason is because people who actually fire back information are doing it because they're part of a community. I'm sure you guys have done the same thing. You're part of the community, and when you're part of the community, you do your role, right? So if there's expertise you have that other people don't, you do it. The reason is you're exchanging it for the expertise in the system. So I know that next time somebody asks me a question or asks a question out there that I can answer, I want to help them. If you guys look at Apple communities, the Apple discussions is that exact way. If you have a problem with any sort of Apple device, you jump on Apple discussions, you fire it, hey, this is going on, and you float it out there in the industry. Or I'm sorry, in the world. What I saw one time, which was just amazing, is this guy had this problem with his iPhone, and he shot out this thing saying, hey, my iPhone's not working, and here's what's happening. The first response was, man, you're a real basic user. I can't believe this. It was a total doofus response, right? The guy was kind of a jerk. As soon as he finished posting, like 30 people posted after that, wow, that guy was really mean, let me help you. And they just went above and beyond to help that person. Because again, that's the role of community. And if we can get our companies to a place where we're a community, then we get to grow as a community and not just being a bunch of separate loan officers trying to do it themselves. Think about, Dave just mentioned accountability, right? So accountability is when I choose somebody else to tell me when I'm being an idiot, tell me when I'm being successful, help me grow to the level I want to grow to. And I totally believe in accountability. And what if we had accountability groups in our companies where we're online together, not on Facebook, but in an internal system, we're online communicating with each other and helping each other grow. Dave just shot a video for us in the coop. We're doing this new thing called I Dare You. I climbed Mount Hood last week, 2 weeks ago. And at the top of Mount Hood, when we summited, I shot a video just kind of announcing what we're doing. I've always wanted to summit. It's just been kind of a thing that I figured I wanted to do, but I didn't know when I was going to get around to doing it. When I did it, it felt so good to have that success of being on top of the world is what it felt like. And so I shot a video and I just said, you guys, what are we not doing that we need to be doing? And I dropped that in the coop. And so each Monday in the coop now, we're dropping videos on I Dare You To. And it's just kind of a dare that if you follow those weekly dares, you'll change your life and change your business. Dave just shot one this week. Spoiler alert, here's this week's. Dave shot one on exercising and walking more. And, you know, as I record this, I'm standing up. I just do better standing up. Dave's message was, why are we not out there walking? Why are we taking our meetings at coffee shops where we sit down? We should be taking our meetings on walks and getting healthier in general, because it makes you think better, right? And so that's the message for this week is go do that. So we're creating an environment where once people do those dares, they then comment back in and we grow as a community. Again, this world has got to be tied together a lot more, simply the way that we're doing it when we're not at work. So you've got to have something where you're organizing your team in a way that the team is a give and take and communicating back and forth and getting each other information. By the way, that's what we decided is just what I do is I assign videos. So in the Knowledge Cube, I'll shoot a video that talks about, you know, here's what I want you guys to do, and then I can assign it to anybody in the coop. Most of our clients, by the way, are enterprise clients, so the whole company runs inside their own coop. So they're shooting videos for each other, assigning tasks, watching videos, reading documents, quizzes, all that stuff. But it makes sense. You know, it's quick and it's easy, and it's assigned. You can't ignore this, and here's, I guess, my challenge, and then I'll kill after this, and we'll take some questions if we've got time. My challenge to you is, this is where it's going. Right? This is the cutting edge right now of communication in your industry. And the trick is, what I always think is when I look at what my competitors do, I always go, okay, if they did X, how would that affect me? You know, what could they do where they would get out ahead of me? Because I always have to be in the lead. My company for since 2003 has been cutting edge. It's just what we do. And so I'm always thinking, and I actually learned this from Keith Cunningham, who spoke at Mastermind a few years ago. You're always thinking about, what am I not thinking about? As an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking, what am I missing? You know, what piece is out there that could take me out? If I'm you right now on this call, the piece that can take you out is not embracing technology, and specifically these social technologies. Think about, what if my competitor did this? It's Dave and I always have this conversation. I always think, you know, if I was a loan officer looking at edge, the gauge that I would have is, how would I feel if I talk to a borrower who was working with another loan officer, and my borrower says, look what this loan officer just did. Okay, if I'm a loan officer, I'd be like, oh, dang, if I don't have edge and I'm watching somebody else use it, I'd be like, oh, man, I missed it. Like, I'm failing right now because I'm not at the level that my competitor is. So think about that with your technology. If we're using email intranet and we're trying to go out and recruit people and grow our business model, but we look exactly the same as everybody else, and the only difference is the paycheck, it's not going to work. It's not a long-term gain. If you invest in social technology, start moving everybody into a community in your company, then you can start growing people by giving them the sales technique, giving them the sales tips, collaborating in groups, and getting to a place where we're a different industry. This has been my dream for 10 years, that our industry would work as a team, because I believe that if we start branding the company, and we start having the company brand themselves with their people and growing their people, then you have something that nobody's going to leave. When I watch high producers leave their companies, typically it's a better paycheck that they were wooed by. Occasionally it's a paycheck and a promise of some service. But you don't see a lot of folks right now because not a lot of companies are leveraging social technology like they should. You haven't seen a lot of folks move for systems. And I think that's the future. That's going to be the end of 2014. That's 2015 is when you are a loan officer and you go to a company and you say, what do I get? You're not really asking about what do I get from the CEO. You're not asking about what my percentage is going to be. You're saying who works for you, how much information do they have that might help me, and how can I join this community, and how does that community communicate in a way that grows everybody? If any company, or as companies harness each other and the power of team and the power of growing using these tools, they're going to blow the competition out of the water. If I'm you, that's what I'm most worried about, is a company getting out there and actually growing themselves. It's happening all over the mortgage, not the mortgage, it's happening all over industry outside of mortgage right now. A lot of companies are moving to this internal social learning system. And so you're going to see it just kind of gradually overwhelm the mortgage industry until we're all on it. So still cutting edge, but it's the way we have to communicate. Kind of ending where I began, you can't have people grow in one area socially, individually, personally, and then walk them into a community and make them communicate in a way that they're not comfortable or a way that it's always been. We've been around, this mortgage industry has been around a long time. And the fact that we're still communicating the same way we were 15, 20 years ago, that should tell you something. It should tell you that it's time to make a move. And within your companies, you've got to move to that collaboration. I'm going to kill, and I don't know if we've got some quick Q&A that we're going to be doing, but I'm going to hand it back over to you guys. If you guys need me, we're at knowledgecoop.com. Check it out. You can always email us, sales@knowledgecoop.com if you have questions. But I'm open, and I'll also be monitoring the Facebook page, Mortgage Coach, to answer questions on there as well. So Anthony, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ken. And for everybody on this call, I think it's important to know, I've had a chance to work with Ken personally, and he is constantly looking for information to share with the industry, how to be the best, most effective loan officer. That's what he's about. That's what the Knowledge Coop is about. And Ken, if you could do me a favor and just type in that email address into the chat box. I'm sure a lot of the attendees would love to shoot you a note if you could do that, or just pull it up on the screen. I just wanted to touch on a couple things that I got from that great piece of content. You talked about the speed of communication, and for everybody on this call, I think it's important to remember what Ken said. Communication channels are growing. You've got the Instagram, the Facebooks, you've got social networks like Knowledge Coop, but you have to remember that the communication speed is only becoming faster and faster. So it will only continue to increase. So getting ready now, being ready for that speed, is going to help you tremendously over the life of your career. And then also, Ken, you talked about collaboration, and my experience personally working with some of the best loan officers in the country, one of the things they do very well, and also best lenders in the country, is they know and understand how to collaborate to be, the most effective, to provide the most effective workflow, to get the answers they need. Understanding collaboration, especially in a system like Knowledge Coop, is all about helping you be more efficient. It's all about helping you save time. And, I think that's important because speaking to a lot of Mortgage Coach members, many of them on this call want to break the, 2 to 5 loan a month and get to 10 loans a month. Some people on this call are doing 10 loans a month. They want to get to 20. But oftentimes what I find, it's not just about saving time so they can produce more loans, as great as that is, but having processes, being more efficient, so you can actually have more time for your family, for your friends, for your personal life, is really great as well. So when you hear Ken and you hear his systems and what he's talking about, I think it's important for everybody on this call to note, we're not talking about some trendy social system. We're talking about the evolution of communication and using tools to continue to operate at that speed that's coming our way. And then lastly, Ken, what you talked about was, playing defense. Same thing comes back to top producers, right? Oftentimes they have learned how to play the least amount of defense possible to be as offensive as they can, every day. So if you on this call find yourself constantly playing defense every day when you get into the office, I think it's time to take a step back review your workflow, review your processes, review how you're capturing information and how your organization is delivering information to you, so you can find a more effective way to do so. So Ken, I touched on a couple points. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think just that branch communication. We've seen a lot of people kind of buying up branches and growing their companies. And I just heard this year is going to be another year of consolidation where you'll see a lot of the smaller folks fold into the bigger companies. And so many times we're missing an opportunity in that when that branch comes on, we just have them still maintain their branch identity. Their branch manager runs everything, and we like having that branch manager still be a leader. But how does that branch communicate with corporate? And a lot of times corporate doesn't do enough to make their identity known and to really have it be, hey, you work at our company now. Let me just tell you what the value of that is and why we exist. I mean, really the story, the why. I want the why from the CEO. I want a video from the CEO. Those companies that we've got in the coop who've done a CEO video, tremendously successful. It's the CEO quick video. Hey guys, guess what? This is why we started this company. And that's powerful. And I think we're missing sometimes when corporate becomes, brass is just off in their own world. We don't feel like we're connecting with them. And I think we're missing. And then if you've got a branch in Denver that comes on board and a branch in Pleasanton, California that's on board, we need to connect those two branches so that they can share some of their strategies and grow all together. And again, that's just the power of collaboration to grow the business.
Absolutely. You talk about branch manager collaboration, how to get the answers to everyone on, like let's say a level playing field. Obviously here at Mortgage Coach, we're a big fan of Todd Duncan. One of the things that, he's feels very strongly about, that loan officers, lenders, organizations, they need to do a better job of helping originators get into that active selling mindset, or that active selling portion of their business, doing administrative work, searching for answers when most of those answers should already be in a place where they're easily accessible. That's cutting into where you're most successful, and that's in your active selling portion of your day. So really using tools like Knowledge Coop, using tools to help rate things like video, being more efficient in how you communicate loan programs, loan products, where a deal is in process to your partners, to your referral partners, your clients, all those things, when you add it all up, what it ultimately will do is help yourself or your organization put all those players back into active selling, which is ultimately what's going to help everybody provide revenue and grow the company. So again, having a process in place, as Ken mentioned, is extremely important. And I just want to say again, as Ken mentioned, YouTube and the CEO doing a video and sending that out, all those types of things. Again, it's not about being some gimmicky YouTube tech star or trying to, have 25,000 likes on Facebook. That's all good and great. Having that kind of presence is very powerful. But I think, Ken, you probably agree that just using that technology to communicate more effectively is the big takeaway. That you want to be able to communicate at the speed of light, as we say here at Mortgage Coach, especially with our Optimal Blue integration. It's about moving as fast as possible, moving at the speed of the business. A client, a realtor partner, they don't want to wait for you to have to search for a question about a loan program. If you can do it, can you do it with this or that? They want to know right now, and being able to pull those answers is very important. So I know we're just about at time, Ken. You said you're going to be wrapping up with a couple things on the Facebook page. So anyone on this call, if you haven't liked the Mortgage Coach Facebook page, check that out. If you haven't seen the Knowledge Scoop Facebook page, check that out. Go to the pages, ask questions. Ken said he's going to be filtering some of those. And then if you have any additional questions about what Ken mentioned, sales@knowledgescoop.com. Shoot him a note. He'll be happy, I'm sure. Him and his team are great. I've met all of them. They're very knowledgeable, and they're really leaders in the industry. So, Ken, any final words before we wrap up here?
Yeah, no, I guess the final thought is get used to video. I mean, video is growing. Those of you who are using Edge and are not using the video portion, you've got to get used to that, because it's scary at first. When I shot my first video 3 years ago, I was super horrible in my video. As you do more and more and more, you get better and better at it. And if you have to look at Freddie W on YouTube, if the guy would not be famous except that he's shot some videos. And that dude, everywhere he goes, he can walk in, say where he's at, and he'll get hundreds to thousands of people showing up. It's a video he's got 10 million hits on. YouTube has changed their environment. It's made people famous. So if you're not
Definitely.
using video, you'll be amazed when you start shooting video, and then you meet your borrower at closing. They're like, "Oh, hey!" Like they've got this connection to you because they've been watching your videos. And if you're not doing it, I know you've probably heard it a million times. Do it. Like just start shooting video for your people, and you'll be amazed at how quickly it gives you this connection that you never knew you could have with your borrowers.
That's a great point, Ken. So for everybody on this call that hasn't done an Edge video, I really want to leave you with this today. Ken made a great point. You know, what video allows you to do is to really, in a lot of ways, put you in two places at once. You create a video, you send it to your client, they share it with their friends, their family, their coworkers, and you get that kind of exposure. And one big thing to think about with video, because I run into this a lot, especially with someone new to Edge and they're scared to use video, just remember that the client does not expect you to be perfect. Okay, you do not need to be perfect. You can make mistakes. There you go. It's okay to make a mistake, to create a video, say if you need to, you know, start over, you can do those kinds of things. But remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just focus on, like, the client is sitting across the desk from you, and that's really going to be a game changer for your business. And if you've ever answered the same question twice, you should be using Edge to record an Edge presentation that answers that question. So the next time someone asks you, you simply send them an Edge link and they can watch that video over and over again, and you're going to know they watched it. So again, we're always trying to bring value. I hope everyone found a lot of value from this presentation today. I know I definitely did. And you know, with that, thanks again for being part of the Mortgage Coach community. Ken, thanks for your time today. And feel free to say your final words to the group.
Ron, thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Have a great day and happy closings.